Hey, this is the Chatterbox, the radio voice of the Texas Southern Fighting Tigers. I need you to hit that subscribe button, like the show, and spread the word. It's the Fat Larry Podcast. Why? Because he said it is. It's the Fat Larry Podcast right here, and I'm the Chatterbox. And you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button and spread the word. It's the Fat Larry Podcast. Where else can you get it but with Fat Larry?
Good morning, YouTube family. What a beautiful day here in H-Town, Texas. I am so happy to be back to talk sports with you guys. We got some great topics to cover today. I got a great guest, one that's been here before, and I wanted to get his opinion on a few things affecting collegiate sports. And so, I always start off with my HBCUs. And before I get that started, let me ask you guys to do me a big favor, and that is hit that like button, share it with some friends, smash that bell, and subscribe. My numbers are improving every show. As I emphasized last week, you guys are watching, and as most people, you get in and watch and you run off to something else. If you can, hit that subscribe button. I've had some people ask me, does it cost? No, it doesn't cost anything. It's Facebook. It's YouTube, so it doesn't cost you a thing. Subscribe. And subscriptions helps us. It'll help us to be able to maintain the quality of the show. As I said, I've had people walk up to me and tell me, man, your show looks so good. I be thinking you're on ESPN. No, not on ESPN. But it takes us to be fully dedicated and make sure this show is top level. And you guys subscribing would help us get monetized. So once again, hit that like button, that subscribe button, and share it with some friends. I want to give a shout out to my sponsors, Rose Gold Deluxe Spa, Womack Development Company and Realtor, and Morgan & Associates Dental. Okay, starting off with my HBCU news. I'm a homer, so I'm going to start off with the maroon and gray. So here we go in the SWAC, HBCU news. For 9/17. Now, I'm also going to go back because this show airs every other week. So there were games played last weekend prior to this one on the 10th that I'm going to go over also. So, but this past week on the 17th, we traveled up to Arlington, Texas, had a beautiful time there. A lot of alumni showed up. The Dallas-Fort Worth alumni always comes through. At the tailgate, they had a magnificent meal set up for us. And when I say us, that meant any alumni that showed up was able to just walk up, and eat, dance, and have a good time. So, as I always ask you guys, if you happen to be in the vicinity of a game that is going on for an HBCU, go out and go to the game. The schools need your participation. They need your money, quite frankly. So go out and they need your participation to help them. So we did a pretty good job in showing up in Arlington. Texas Southern beats Southern University 24-0. Our first shutout over Southern since 1971. My God, I was at Texas Southern at that time. Jackson State beats Grambling 66-24. Alabama A&M loses to Austin Peay. UAPB loses to Oklahoma State. Mississippi Valley loses to Delta State. Prairie View loses to Incarnate Word 31-14. And Alcorn beats McNeese State. I don't know what McNeese State has this year, but McNeese State generally has a reputable team. So that sounds on paper to be a pretty good win for Alcorn. And my guest and I will go over there and he'll let me know if that's a pretty good win for them. Now, offensive MVP for this past weekend was Shedeur Sanders, a pass for 357 yards, responsible for 6 touchdowns. If you've watched this show, you know that my comparison and competition for him is our quarterback, Andrew Body. Got off to a slow start, but Shadur has not. He's been ripping them alive for the first 2 games. Actually 3. So you got Shadur was the offensive MVP. You have the defensive MVP, Aubrey Miller from Jackson State also. So it's kind of easy to see why Jackson State is winning. They got guys that are leaders, not only on this paper, I'm sure they're leading their team. Aubrey Miller led in sacks this past week. Then you have specialists, came from TSU, Mr. Garcia, out of Mesquite, Texas. Our field goal kicker ended up doing double duty punting, and he averaged 46 yards punting, so he did a great job for Texas Southern. Would flip the field at times when Texas Southern was being a problem. He punted and ended up on their 30. Okay, and so the newcomer, now this is what I want to talk about, and I want to get my guest, Lary Chattabox Hale, in just a moment to see what he thinks about this guy. This guy was the newcomer of the year in MEAC last year as a freshman. A running back, Wilkerson for Jackson State, ran 23 times for 141 yards. I happened to see a replay of the game. This kid is tough. He ran with power and agility. So how they end up getting the number 1 running back, a newcomer out of the MEAC. But that's what happens when you win and you have a dynamic coach like Coach Prime. People want to come play for him. Then what we're going to do is go now to previous week, September the 10th. Texas Southern loses to North Texas, University of North Texas. Southern loses to LSU. Grambling State beats Northwestern Louisiana. Prairie View loses to Abilene Christian University. Alcorn loses to Tulane. Alabama A&M loses to Troy. Mississippi Valley State loses to Austin Peay. FAMU beats Albany. FAMU beats Albany State. Alabama State loses to UCLA. And Bethune-Cookman loses to South Carolina State University. So the SWAC is getting off to a slow start, but as of last year, when you get into conference play, things pick up and become very heated. So right now in the SWAC standings, we have Jackson State at 3-0. I'm gonna give it the top 3 in the division. Alabama State is 2-1 in the East, and FAMU is 1-2 in the East. In the West, you got Prairie View 1-2. You got TSU 1-2. And you got UAPB 1-2. UAPB is actually 2-1. They're having a better season so far than they did last year. Okay, now we're going to talk about a few stats, and then after that we're going to bring our guests in. As it stands right now, TSU and Southern. TSU had 352 yards, and Southern had 352 yards. Same amount of production, but TSU wins 24-0. And in just a second, I'm going to talk with Mr. Hale, and we're going to talk about that. Jacob Williams led Texas Southern in tackles with 9, along with Derek Cooper with 8. And Michael Akins, this is a young man that is starting to have his name called. He had 2 sacks along with a number of harries. I saw him rush the quarterback. And finally, I saw Andrew Body start picking the magic back up. I had some people that got on me, friends and family of Mr. Body, and I love Andrew. But I have to keep it real, as I tell everybody, I'm going to keep it real on this show. When I gave him a C-. It's kind of hard to hit receivers when you're on the run, but last year he also was on the run, but he was able to work that magic. And it looks like the magic is starting to come back. He did it 3 or 4 times against Southern. That's all I wanted to see is just the magic. You're absolutely correct. You can't. It's hard to throw when you're on the run, but there were times that this is what the great ones do. They make things happen. And so I've started to see glimpses of Andrew Body from last year, this previous game. And I think that he's only going to get better. And without further ado, I'd like to bring into the conversation now our guest, Lary Chatterbox Hale, who is the voice of the Fighting Tigers athletic sports, basketball and football. Thank you, Chatterbox, for coming to the show and gracing us again.
Thank you so much for having me. I know I've been on a long waiting list. You have so many prominent guests. Once you had me on, I just immediately dropped down to guest number 375. So I had to work my way up the ladder to get back to you, Fat Larry.
This is how he was able to get that position. See how he talked that moolah? He talking that moolah to me. But he know he was one of the first ones on my show. So there were some topics I wanted to talk that I wanted his input on. First of all, last week, prior to September the 17th now, I'm taping every other week. If you saw the show, Chatter, you saw where there were no good grades at all to be given to Texas Southern when they played Prairie View. Do you feel like you see a little bit of the magic coming back in Andrew? What I was talking about, how things were not always perfect for him last year, but he was able to work his magic. What do you think?
Well, I think that I have to agree with you. The magic is starting to come back for Andrew Body. I like the way the coaches have allowed him. I mentioned that in the pregame portion of the broadcast. You've got to turn him loose. You have to turn him loose. Andrew Body is not a robot.
Right.
If you look under the bottom of his foot, it doesn't say made in Hong Kong. It's made in Corpus Christi, Texas.
Corpus Christi,
So Andrew Body has a lot of talent,
right,
but you have to allow him to use that talent to the best of his ability. And he has been known at times to make something out of nothing.
Right.
And I feel like the offensive line and the defensive weren't really gelling. Right. They didn't really gel. They didn't get a lot of pressure on the quarterback. They weren't really giving Body time to throw the football. Our wide receivers, all of them must have went to the concession stand at one time and forgot that we had to play a football game because they were not in the building.
Right.
I don't know if they were sitting with the band. I don't know if they were playing with the mascot, taking pictures, but they were not on that football field catching the football.
Yeah.
Now, North Texas, they showed up in a major way, even though we lost, but it was some progression in that receiving core. And you could tell Body and Derek Morton's connection. I said, man, this guy has got a receiver now that he can throw to. You had A.J. Bennett, who you tried to go to a few times. Mm-hmm. Okay. But Morton has been your guy.
Right.
Now, the only thing that I can see, which is a good problem, when you have Jaron Johnson come back. So Jaron Johnson was second team, first team all SWAC last season in receptions.
Oh, I can't wait for him to come back.
So you have some more weapons for Andrew Body to deliver the football to. And I like the way that we've improved with the running game.
Right.
The running game, you got a cupboard full of running backs in Howard, Ladarius Owens, who scored a touchdown this past week.
What's number 5 number?
Harris.
Now, is that a
out of
freshman?
Chi-Town, Chicago.
Oh, that's
Kevin
Chicago.
Harris.
Okay, Kevin
Out
Harris.
of Chi-Town, Chicago.
Okay.
He scored. He's really been moving the football well in spurts. But when you have Ladarius Owens toting the rock,
Right.
Ja'Cory Howard toting the rock, it's really not a lot of room for another back. This running back room is full, and sometimes you got to go with your main two.
Right.
But most of all, I'm really pleased with that Texas Southern defense.
Right.
They were null and void against Prairie View, showed some signs of life against North Texas, but they really hit the time clock and came to work on Saturday against Southern University. Very proud of their defense.
Thank you. Let's stay on that. I'm just like you on defense. The thing that everybody that's affiliated with Texas Southern as a fan, as we come into the game, will we be able to stop anybody? That's always what we're always talking about. Now, I was so impressed at the game Saturday. Now, don't get me wrong, audience. They did have the same amount of yardage we did, but there have been great teams, college and NFL, that bent but didn't do what?
Break.
Didn't break, and that's what the Tigers did last week.
who do you see? I'm gonna give my couple guys I saw, man, but who do you see rising up? Now we still miss a few tackles there in between everything, Chatter. But this 96 kid number 96, Atkins.
Right.
I want you to tell me a little bit about him, and then Jay Will, the linebacker, got plenty of speed. Only thing, Williams is number 53. Number 53. That's what I'm talking about. He misses a few tackles, but he can get there so fast. If we can get that washed up, I think the defense that was an awesome interception the first quarter.
Right.
He could have had two. The one that hit him square straight in the hands, he dropped, but the one he had to jump up with one hand, he intercepted. Tell me about what you think. How do you think the defense progressed?
I think the defense played well. I think they progressing very nicely. Coach Jeff Caesar, the defensive coordinator, he and I talked quite a bit. I have him on my pregame portion of the broadcast. He was really pleased with the depth we had at defensive lineman and our linebacking core. We did some things to upgrade the secondary, which you can tell.
You can tell.
Because it's Oski City.
Right.
As I say on the radio, getting a lot of Oskis.
Right.
A lot of interceptions for the folks that don't know what an Oski is. A lot of interceptions. And that means, if you think about it, in that Southern game, they basically abandoned the passing game until the fourth quarter.
Right.
After those first 3 picks, they were done throwing the football downfield and vertically.
Right.
They went to handing the football off to, I thought I was watching somebody like that smash mouth football, but our defense did a great job, and they have been catching a lot of flack. And I'm so happy for that coaching staff, and I'm happy for those young men on that football field. Had to deal with all the naysayers.
I know they hear it.
Of course they do.
Yeah.
They hear it. It's on social media. They hear different. They listen. They listen.
Right.
They listen. They watch, and they can tell. But they came in that game with a chip on their shoulder. And a lot of people said that we beat Southern last year with the interim coach. What you gonna do? Well, Dooley's in now.
Right.
We're not scared of Dooley.
We should be Dooley last year with Prairie.
Right, but we let him off the hook.
Let him off the hook.
Yeah.
We should beat him out. We let him off the hook. Can you tell me, go in depth a little bit about Akins? Where is he from?
I can't remember exactly where he's from, but
See,
I know he's a newcomer. He just
Louisiana.
splashed on the scene like you had a little baby pool in the
Right.
backyard, and you have somebody that just comes in and runs and jumps in and splashes all the water out, and the kids are running. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
When they see Akins come, they're running for their lives, and he put a lot of pressure on the right side of that line, and with Tyler Martinez on the other side, that really made some things happen.
Hey man, I isolated him a couple of times after he made a play. He was fighting through double blocks, other teams, and still. That's what we need. I mean, I was like, it looks like they fired up today. That's what I was telling myself. Now, I am going to give my grades just like I gave when they did that. I'm going to give some grades now. And you tell me whether you oppose or you agree. I got the offense at a B. A win is a big deal on that, but the simple fact that we allowed our quarterback to get his magic back. So I gave the offense a B.
Okay, I agree.
Okay. Defense, I gave them a B because it's night and day. 352 yards may sound like, okay, well, how you give them a B? You gave them this and that, but they did not break.
Well, I disagree with that. I think they deserve an A for one. They did one heck of a goal line stance, which you did not see that often.
No.
We shut out Southern University for the first time since 1971. And we played like we had a chip on our shoulder, which I mentioned before. And for us to play like that, you got to give them an A this time.
Yeah. Well, like I said,
I got you.
The B is real good coming from what I had them against the Prairie. D minus, but D minus.
They worked their way to that doghouse.
And you know what? You're absolutely correct. I forgot there were a couple, not actually goal line stands, but when they got in the red zone, Texas Southern turned them away.
Right, but it was a goal line stance in particular.
There was one goal line
in that first half.
Right.
They went for it on fourth down.
Right.
Southern got cocky.
Yeah.
They thought we were going to fold, but we didn't.
Right.
We pulled the Kenny Rogers and we had a raw flush.
And there you go.
And that's when you knew
Right.
the whole stadium got excited when we stopped. You know what? I hadn't seen a play like that since we played Grambling.
2010.
Man, that seemed like it was one of the 2-12 defense
Championship
reinvented.
Right.
But that's just one game. They got to keep playing.
Right.
But I really like their goal line stance. I like the attitude of what they played with. And that secondary was magnifique.
I got it. Special teams, I gave them a B+ because the kicker and the punter and the field goal kicker, they did a great job. And actually, family, Garcia was named Specialist of the Week, as I told you earlier. So I gave him a B+.
Richard Garcia, I agree with that. Richard Garcia has been doing the punting duties and he's done the field goals.
Right.
Because our other field goal kicker is injured right now.
Okay.
But Garcia did a bang-up job. He had a lot of, not a lot of height on some of those punts.
Right.
But he had that punter's roll. When it hit the ground, it would roll and give the defense
another 15,
just
20
enough chance
to
touch that football and put Southern in bad field position.
All I was saying when they punted the ball, I was make them drive the length of the field because they couldn't drive. They could drive, but they couldn't drive all the way. Now I got coaching, I got to be on defense. I had to do that because it was night and day again. And I know you probably got them an A on the defense.
Well, no, they had their defense had some moments when they gave up plays, but they didn't give up the big play. They didn't give up the home run.
Right.
Of course, you had McCray running the football, but once they made those adjustments, sometimes later on in the game, they were probably working in some other defensive backs. Southern moved the football vertically. They didn't abandon. They brought back the wide receiver game when they brought back the pass game, going vertical in the fourth quarter.
Right.
So that might have been they changed out personnel or dropped back in their coverage, giving them a lot of room to maneuver. But that unit they had out there in the very beginning, they were really up in their faces, and I really like their defense.
Yes. Okay, so you agree with the B?
I agree with the B.
Okay, offense I gave a B. Just simply because it was not 1, 2, 3 and out. It was not 1, 2, 3 and out. And they had a little bit different offensive scheme. It was just left-handed ball off, right against PV, and they started rolling Drew out and letting him keep the ball a little bit more.
Yeah, but when you I gave the offense that.
You gave offense
back on the record, say I gave me a right there down there. Now the coaches a B.
Right.
Talked about that, and then you said you rolled in body out, but I just think that was the first game of the season.
Right.
All the hype, Labor Day Classic, this and that, new head coach, and welcome back.
There's a lot of big expectations.
I just think there was a lot of expectations.
Yeah, we had a lot of expectations. Everybody on our side was talking about we were going to put it on Prairie.
Right, and the passing game wasn't there.
Wasn't there.
If the passing game was there vertically, it opened things up for the running game. And when the running game is working, that opens up things for the passing game, as Melvin Spears would say. You can go up top.
Right.
And you could see that's what Body did. Handed off one a couple times to Howard, and he handed off a couple times to the Darius Owens. Then they come in, and guess what? Peekaboo, I see you. I'm going to hit you for 20 or 30 yards, streaking down the left side of that sideline.
Yes, sir. Mr. Womack is the broker and president and CEO of Womack Development Investment Realtors, a private minority-owned full-service commercial and residential real estate brokerage firm. Over the years, he has been known to be a respected community businessman and partner and has received many awards. Now, he sells real estate everywhere, but this specialty is right here in 3rd Ward. This guy can get it taken care of for you. Okay, family, now, we spent enough time on my Tigers. Now, we're going to move on.
Our Tigers.
Our Tigers.
Thank you.
Forgot I had the voice of the Fighting Tigers in here with us. Okay. We talked earlier before camera came on about Coach Sanders. As you know, if you watch my show, once again, I always be hyping Coach Sanders, Coach Prime, because of the things he says and his thought pattern. He's not just settling for what they give us, the SWAC, and he doesn't want the other schools to settle. So everybody says things, he thinks he's this and he thinks he's that. Everything Dion does shines light on the SWAC. Not just Jackson State, it shines light. It's up to you now to bring your school up. Once they talk about Jackson State and the SWAC, you go on there and let people know, I'm a member of the SWAC. We play Jackson State. Then do your thing and talk about what you intend to do with your school and your players. So my question to you is, right at this particular moment, Coach Prime Chatter is kind of like at a loss for words on, not at a loss for words, but he doesn't like the idea of the SWAC schools going to play these D1 schools and not being compensated properly like the other schools that go play these D1 schools. For instance, Appalachian State played Texas A&M and got paid $1.25 million. $1.25 million to play Texas A&M. And then Notre Dame played Marshall $1.5 million to come pay. And this is a discrepancy, Chatter, that Dion, Coach Prime, is talking about. He doesn't mind. He's not scared to go play them, but he doesn't want to go get his players broken up. 2, now you've been beat 66 to nothing, 77 to nothing. You got to get your players' mind right to get ready to go into a tough conference schedule. And my opinion is, I agree. He thinks that we, as a conference, should be looking at, why don't we let these other schools know that we don't mind playing y'all, and we appreciate it, because I think they feel like, hey, we doing you a favor, Texas Southern, to come to North Texas for $360,000. No, you're not doing us a favor, because people want to see Texas Southern also. You know, if it's nothing else but for the band, you know, because they make sure these schools, when they bring these black colleges, they make sure they bring the band.
They want to have a show.
They want to have a show. They have all the SWAC bands. I don't care. Alabama State just went to UCLA in Los Angeles, and that's the talk of Los Angeles, is the Alabama State band. You know what I'm saying? Even though UCLA ran through Alabama State, it's the talk of Los Angeles. So what is your thought process on the SWAC taking these checks at a lower amount than other schools? Do you think we should just shut up and accept the checks? Or do you think we should be more proactive and try to find other areas, other situations where we can get our teams out and to the light?
Well, I just think that, I think it's great that Coach Prime is being, not the voice, but he's speaking his mind.
Right.
The administration, the athletic director, Ashley Robinson, gives Dion, Coach Prime, that reign to speak about what he feels is necessary to speak about. He also talked about having a committee.
Right.
But then if you're going to get a committee together, you have to have the negotiators, some of your best negotiators, speaking for everybody.
Everybody.
And sometimes everybody don't want to be spoken for.
True that.
So that's the situation. If I'm at such and such school, let my school handle it. We're going to keep getting this small money.
Right.
And we happy with it.
Right.
Other schools might feel like Coach Prime.
Right.
You know what, you're right. Let's get that million. But you got to have some strong negotiators to go in and say, hey, this is what we want to do. Oh, this is what we want. This is what we expect. But I'm sure the administration is going to get involved. Each school's administrations, or however they do it, council presidents, they're going to get involved and look at things. And that, you know, that's something that's way above my pay grade. Okay. But when you talk about, I think it'd be great because, you know, after a tough loss, you see the kids, sometimes they're upbeat, sometimes they're not. Sometimes we lose kids to injury. Right. Sometimes we don't. Texas Southern's been lucky. We played North Texas, didn't get beat up bad. Okay. Because I remember during the Asbury era, we played them. We got beat up pretty bad.
Right.
Got beat up. That hurt us the rest of the season.
And that's what Coach Prime is talking about.
Right.
He doesn't mind taking money, but let's get paid. He went down a list of teams getting paid.
I remember that.
Yeah, and he was like, now when Southern went over to LSU and got that $750,000, he said that's worth it. You know, you no expenses. You're right there in Baton Rouge. Man, you get to take home almost all that check.
But just think about it, Jack. That deal had been in the works for a few years now. Folks at Southern really wanted that game more than LSU did.
Right.
It was for one, you know, it's notoriety. You know, they recruit some of the same kids. They go after some of the same kids. Right. Some of the kids from LSU have transferred to Southern before.
Right.
So that deal was in the works for years.
Right.
But when you think about it now, about the money aspect, no one has ever thought about that.
Right.
Until Dion got there. No one's ever thought about it. No one has even thought
Question.
we're just gonna get the check,
Right.
get the meal at the Golden Corral,
Right.
and we're just gonna ride on that home.
Right.
But no one has ever thought about the money significance,
Right.
the significance of the money.
Right.
And he said the money should go to the football team.
Right.
Because we're the one taking the beatings. But as you know,
It's divided.
for some schools, that's a fundraiser to help your non-money generating sports. Sometimes that's the lifeline for
Most of the time,
guaranteed games.
Most of the time.
It's the lifeline for those smaller sports that struggle.
Right.
So it's hard to say that.
I imagine there's probably about 3 schools that football can probably sustain themselves, and that's Southern, FAMU, and Jackson. It used to be Grambling. Grambling can't even do it. Grambling can't. Grambling, they front runners. And now that Grambling has fell down a little bit, you don't see, when Grambling comes, you don't see it packed like it used to be. Grambling follows coming all out the woodworks. They front runners, which most people are. But yes, I agree with you on some of the things you said, that they need to get together and come to a meeting of the minds on it. But I think it's something they should do. One last thing on that subject is, what do you think about, I was listening to another podcast show saying that, the SWAC and black colleges got to step out of the box. You got shows like Hulu, Prime, Paramount, Disney, different streaming services that are, as this guy said, dying to have live entertainment. I can remember when BET 25 years ago used to have a SWAC on. I couldn't wait to see it. You remember that?
Right. That was the old days with the store cable.
Right.
You had that little box and you had
Right. But do you know that the viewing, I don't know what caused it, because the viewing numbers were up. Maybe because we never know what goes on behind closed doors with the front office and administration. It could have been something like that, but that show was watched, and it helped build up the stands too. So something like that. I don't know why we won't even go back to BET again and try to do that.
Well, when you look at it with ESPN, at our SWAC office, Commissioner Dr. Charles McClellan has a very great relationship with ESPN. Okay. And when you think about it, at the time, that was the best deal at the moment. But now, Roland Martin comes on, Hulu, this and that. Well, where they been?
Right.
Where have you been?
Right.
We've been here playing football all this time.
100 years plus.
Where have you been? So you have to go with what works. Sometimes we don't know how long this deal has been signed with ESPN. So you have to look at it. You have to look at that part as well. So that's why Dr. McClellan always has a vision. I always talk about that. He always has a vision to help take us to another level. And when it's time to renegotiate or do what they're going to do, they'll probably have that in mind. Yeah. But for now, the SWAC is with ESPN. Right. But when he mentions about all the other people that want it, where have they been? Right. Where have you been? Yeah. So all these people he's naming off, I haven't seen any press releases saying they're even interested.
Well, no.
In Texas. Be interested in the SWAC. Where have they been?
No. There's not any people from these different streaming services that are telling anyone or the black colleges that, we got opportunity. No. His point was they are looking for things. Do you know what Thursday Night Football was on? What channel Thursday Night Football was on? Prime. That's what he was trying to say.
But they made a lot of people mad too.
Yes, they did.
Because you had to subscribe. It wasn't on the regular television.
Right.
Get it through your cable.
Right.
And that Peacock game that they had super technical difficulties.
Right.
At Morehouse and Hampton.
But the point being is that there are a number of places. You always have to start here. You got to crawl before you walk.
Right.
Crawl before you walk. Let's make that channel ours, like BET did, made us the SWAC, brought the SWAC in 25 years ago. But anyway, that's what I wanted to know, what your opinion was. Now, I cover the SWAC, but I also do other conferences, CIAA, SIAC, and the MEAC. Real quick, we're going to go over the MEAC. North Carolina Central is 3-0, Delaware State 2-1. And South Carolina stayed 1-1, the team that beat Jackson State last year in the Celebration Bowl. CIAA, Virginia Union, 3-0. Virginia State, 2-1. and Bowie State 1-2. And once again, I report this because I have people that watch this show in Louisiana, Pennsylvania, on the East Coast, West Coast. And so I'm reporting, and there are a number of alums of these schools. You know, Chad, I was telling people once, there's probably not one black college that doesn't have an alumni in the city of Houston. You can go to some events and you'll look up and you'll see somebody with Morgan State t-shirt on, or Bowie State shirt on.
Right.
But anyway, SIAC, you got Benedict 3-0. Now, a lot of these schools be D2, but it don't matter when they come to play you. D2 and supposedly D1. If we play Benedict, we'd have to be ready to play Benedict. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't matter when you play these schools what classification. Fort Valley State is 3-0, and Albany State is 2-1. That's the conference SIAC. FAMU played Albany and beat them pretty bad. So that's what I was trying to say. They're a little lower, but sometimes you can catch some of these lower schools and you got trouble on your hand. Lightston is 3-0 out of Oklahoma. North Carolina A&T is 0-3. Hampton is 3-0, and Tennessee State is 0-3. Those are independent schools that I wanted to bring out. North Carolina A&T actually is an independent. They're in the Big South Conference, a white conference, and Hampton is also. Now, here's the funny thing. North Carolina A&T was picked to be the favorite to win their division, and now Hampton is the one that's undefeated. So that's a little tidbit there for you. Now, moving on. Actually, let me ask Chapter. Are you familiar with the MEAC schools?
I don't really follow. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
Yeah.
I'm a SWAC man through and through.
Yeah. But there's so many schools that come through. Now, here's something that, like you said, you're a SWAC man. Now, you know, we got in December something coming up, but you'll be there. And I'm going to holler at you when I get to town in Las Vegas on 17th and the 18th, family. I said I was going to start telling everyone now. Start making arrangements for Las Vegas. Should be a fantastic basketball classic. You got Texas Southern, North Carolina A&T, Hampton, and you got Norfolk State. 4 schools that kind of be into the playoffs every year. And that's the Chris Paul Classic in Las Vegas.
Right. It should be very, very entertaining.
Oh, very entertaining.
Fun. If you want to see some great HBCU basketball,
trust me.
Vegas is the ticket.
It is the ticket. Start making your plans now. Once again, the schools would greatly appreciate it. This is what gets our name, when I say our name, the black HBCUs out. When they go to Vegas and the word goes out, man, they had a basketball classic in Las Vegas with 4 HBCUs. It was off the hook. You know what I'm saying? And so I want everyone to try to be there. It made me feel so good, Chatter, that at Prairie View, I had a few people stop me and say, "Oh, aren't you Fat Larry? Sports Talk with Fat Larry." And I had a Fill the Stands 2 a campaign on, like I did last year for the Prairie View PV game. And the lady and her sister said, "I heard you say on your show, Fill the Stands." And that's what me and my sister are doing. We told some friends, Fill the Stands. So it makes me feel good. No, I'm not CBS, NBC, ESPN, but the few people that do watch, you know, hopefully that you're watching now. One more time, make your arrangements to go to Las Vegas. And you don't have to tell anybody, because what happens in Las Vegas stays in Las Vegas. What happens in Las Vegas stays in Las Vegas. So we're going to go over the NFL right quick. We got the Eagles leading, and I'm just going to give the top 2 teams in each division. We got the Eagles 2-0 and the Giants 2-0. And I had the Cowboys picked, only because the conference was so terrible last year, and I did not know Dak was going to be the situation he's in. And so, but anyway, I got the Eagles and Giants in the North. We got the Vikings and the Packers and the Lions. All 3 are 1-1. And South, we got Tampa Bay 2-0, and we got the Saints 1-1. In the AFC East, we got Miami, a surprise. Well, sort of, kind of. Miami started to come on. What do you think, Chandler? Miami started
very
to come on.
Very surprised. I mean, Tua got over his injuries, and it seemed like they're playing some great football.
Yeah. Buffalo is 2-0. Now, that's my pick to win is Buffalo. New England is 1-1. But I don't think New England's going to do anything. They're going to win some games, but they're not winning coming out of their conference. I got Miami and Buffalo doing that. Who you got out of Miami and Buffalo?
I really like Buffalo. I like their aggressiveness. They retooled this football team, and they did things the right way. They didn't cut corners. You know, some organizations, they just been known to cut corners, and it never works. And you do it the same over and over and over again.
Eagles and Giants in the East. Who you got?
I like the Eagles. I like the way Hurts is playing.
Yeah, I like the Eagles too.
Had that redemption. Yeah. You know, had a tough little stint, but he's doing well. He caught a lot of heat when he first got to the Eagles.
I like the Eagles, but it's going to be close with the Giants because their running back is back.
Saquon Barkley.
Saquon Barkley, he's back. He ran with a vengeance last Sunday. Vikings and Packers out of the North.
Well, as soon as Aaron Rodgers they knock the arrogance out of Aaron Rodgers. Once he gets back focused and realize that it's bigger than just him, because it's been like that for a few years and they have done nothing. Yeah. You've gotten the MVP, but Super Bowl ring.
Yeah, I got the Packers also on that. In the South, I got the Bucks and the Saints.
Well, if they can ever stop fighting and play some football, we'd be okay. Like a back alley street fight reminds me of good times with the Warlords. They get down in that back alley. They got to get better at playing football.
Yeah. In the West, 49ers and the Rams. Now, this is a good division. I got the Rams coming out.
Yeah, I think the Rams are going to continue to get themselves and improve each and every week.
Yeah, because all 4 teams are 1-1, the Cardinals and the Seahawks. But I just can't see the Rams' defense is so dynamic. And if their quarterback can just, if he finds his way, it's tough. Now, the 49ers is a sleeping giant, I think, because Shanahan, he's an offensive guru to me.
Right.
Yeah, it's the young Shanahan. Okay, in the East, you got Miami. North, we got the Steelers and the Ravens and the Browns. I got the Ravens.
I'm picking the Ravens also.
Yeah, I got the Ravens. Okay, in the South, we got the Jaguars, Texans, and the Colts. It's another sorry division. I picked the Colts because Colts generally have a pretty good defense, and they got the quarterback from Atlanta. I thought it'd take them a little while, but who you got out of that division?
Who's that?
I got the Jaguars and the Colts.
I like
the Jaguars and the Colts?
I like that quarterback,
okay.
Trey Lance. He's going to put some things around.
No, that's not Trey Lance. That's the big guy that from Clemson.
Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence.
Excuse me, Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, Now, in the West, we got the Chiefs, 2-0, Chargers, and Broncos, 1-1. I got the Chiefs.
Yeah, Chiefs are going to continue to be the Chiefs. It's what they've always been doing. Mm-hmm. But you got to like the way that the Chargers are playing. They're playing with some guts. If they can just protect Herbert and can stay off his back a little bit, keep that jersey clean a little bit, we'll be okay.
Okay. All righty. Let's go with local. I am disappointed in the University of Houston. One of my buddies was telling me, man, Dana Holgerson, I was telling you from day one, he's not all of that. And I know you're a Cougar man, but I've always pulled for U of H because U of H is one of the first predominantly white schools to have black players come. Football, basketball, you name it. It's from a track they have. And so I pulled for the Cougars. And but they lost to Kansas. What do you see the Cougars in?
Well, I like the Cougars. I've always pulled for them. I'm a big Phi Slamma Jamma man.
Right.
Sloan Hood's a good friend of mine. It's just that I just think they're in a bad space right now, and especially by losing to Kansas. And then you had that big brawl in that football game.
Oh, God.
You got to clean that stuff up. And then they're really trying to mention it, but they pull it back. Right. But if that would have been another situation, another school, they would have talked to
TSU. If that had been TSU fighting on the sideline, it's been like chaos. What's going on over there?
Right. He'd been sitting here, a couple reporters can fight.
Yeah. Now, there was a couple reporters that said that it's time for Dana Holgerson to go because when you see that going on the sideline, that means that the coach has lost control. Right. Now, that's what I've heard, read and said that he lost. You think that's true, the coach?
Well, I just think it's not a good look, especially when you're trying to get into the Big 12 and play some Big 12 schools and do what you need to do, fighting on the sideline and losing games that you should win. That doesn't bode well.
Rice is 2-1. Now Rice is playing a lesser schedule, but I told the guy, if you were to give me 10 points, I'd take Rice. Because U of H is in such a disarray.
Right.
And Rice has won 2 games in a row. There's something to be said, Chad, about your mindset. If your mind is right, we go back to Coach Prime again. It's hard. Yeah, we got paid $300,000, got our brains beat out, 80-0. 2 players are hurt. Now I got to try to go in here and talk to my players and get them fired up to play Alabama State. That's a tough job.
Yeah,
it's a tough job. Okay, and then we got something I want to talk about. Nebraska fired their coach after 3 games, and now we have family the first head black football coach at the University of Nebraska. And Vance Johnson's brother. Vance Johnson is coordinator at he was the head coach at Denver Broncos, but he is
Joseph.
At who?
Joseph, that's his name.
Joseph. I'm sorry, Vance Joseph, and he's the defensive coordinator now at one NFL team. He was the head coach at the Broncos, but his brother is now the new head coach in Nebraska. What do you think about that?
Well, it's great you giving an African American that prestige and that history, but after a while, by you being the first African American, okay, but then after a while, you got to get some wins.
Right.
What's the significance of it? Just being there means nothing. You got to make a difference.
It doesn't mean definitely doesn't mean anything.
Being the name of the first African American head coach in Nebraska history, okay, that's good for a few hand claps.
Right.
But what are you going to do on the field to even solidify why they gave you the job?
I'm hoping that they give him an opportunity to get some of his players and to work some things out. They showed well for about a half against Oklahoma, and then they faded badly. They lost to Oklahoma.
Well, Fat Larry, if you look at it, those are his players. He's on the staff. He's recruiting most of those players.
You know what? You might be right.
Yeah, I mean, you're on the staff. It's not like he came from another school.
But don't you think, Chatter, that he might have a different mindset than the head coach?
Okay, I understand that, but when you say get his players,
you're right. I misstated.
He's already on that. He's already on that staff.
Yeah, I misstated that.
But he fired the defensive coordinator. Just fired him because he gave up all those points. So now they're in search for a defensive coordinator to find their defensive identity. So we'll see what happens.
Excuse me for interrupting. So after the game Saturday, the defense coordinator, I'm not on top of it.
He got canned.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Because they were in the game the first half. Second half, they just got drove.
He got canned.
Yeah. Okay. Now we're going to go to baseball, and that's why you see me with my Houston Astro T-shirt on, my trusty Houston Astro cap. Yes, I'm a homer again. The Astros are in the playoffs again. And Chad, I want to say something. When you're a winner, winning begets winning. You ever notice how that is, guys? They lost Carlos Carrera, and they thought that was going to be the end of it. No, but you still got Altuve. You still got Altuve, Bergman, the pitcher. So I think I picked it at the beginning of the season. I picked the Stros. I picked the Dodgers. In the Central, Cleveland. Now Toronto and Tampa are going to be fighting for the wild card, and I got the Yankees. In the end, I have the Astros playing the Yankees to go to the World Series. What you think?
I think it's going to be, the Astros.
The Astros?
All the way.
All the way. I got them picked to beat the Yankees, too. What do you think?
I got them picked to beat them also.
Okay. Let's go into the National League. One more time, I have the Dodgers that have already clinched. Our Astros have clinched their division. The Dodgers have already clinched. St. Louis is leading the Central. 2 months ago, I told my family that, and reading the standings for baseball, I said, now St. Louis is in second, but St. Louis has been winning. They've turned around. They got out just reading up on them. They got a lot of young stars, and here they are leading the division. But I still don't think they can deal with the Dodgers. We got the Mets in the East, and I think Atlanta, the World Series defending champions, are going to make the wild card, but I don't think they're going to have the luck they had last year on making it to the World Series. Who do you foresee in the West?
I like the Dodgers.
Dodgers.
I'm a Dodger guy.
You're a Dodger
That's
guy.
how I was dealing with the National League. I think whenever time I think about the Dodgers, I think about my Uncle Walter. I would go to every year I would go to a small town called Atmore, Alabama.
Oh, wow.
And he would
they love baseball in Alabama.
Love the Dodgers.
They love baseball.
Tommy Lasorda, back to the days of Ron Say. And when I was a kid, that's all I knew. He talked about them Dodgers. Yeah. And so I always root for the Dodgers, and I think about him when I root for those Dodgers.
Dodgers. Growing up, I was a Yankees fan because they were always on TV.
Right.
The Yankees fan because they had Elston Howard. They had a couple of black guys, but they had Elston Howard, which was one of the main ones there. So you got the Dodgers and the Astros in the World Series.
Yes, I do. And I have the Astros with the victory champagne, as I would say.
That's what I'm pulling for. It's going to be a tough one, though. But man, the Dodgers are almost like the Yankees were when Steinbrenner was there. Whatever he needed, he'd go buy. He didn't care nothing about no what they have at the
salary cap.
They care about no salary cap.
It's not a salary cap. That's why you can go get them. Pay their money.
Yeah. He like, I don't care about no salary cap, man. I own this cable company, I own that, I own this and that. And they said you can't see the Yankees. They can't pull out enough subscriptions for people to see the Yankees. So he was about winning, just like Al Davis was about winning. So Chad, I really thank you for coming on board and enlightening my audience on what's going on. Upcoming game, family, University of Texas at San Antonio this Saturday, the 24th, at the Alamo Dome. I'd like to see your face in the place. I anticipate a lot of our alumni from San Antonio to come out and come to the game. And once again, I anticipate our family that went to Dallas or Arlington area to be down there again this week. Because as I always say, the teams really appreciate your participation. Where do you see us at now? UTSA had a great year last year. They almost beat University of Texas last week.
This is a team that can score points.
Yeah.
Like I said, I just hope. I believe in Texas Southern. I believe Maroon and Gray, but I just want us to play the game, get out of this game without the injuries, play with confidence. Don't hang your head. Right. This is a fundraiser, and some people call it. And some people.
That's exactly what it is. A fundraiser.
So it's bigger than you.
Right.
It's bigger than the football program. It's about getting the word out to Texas, getting the word out about TSU, continuing to put this university on the national stage, and then after that we come back home and tangle with those Hornets.
That's the one that I definitely want everybody to be prepared to attend when we play Alabama State. Because I feel like we can win the West Division. I just hate we just seem to never be ready when we play PV. But if we can just get Alabama State done, I think we can win our division.
It's still a lot of football left to play. And a lot of people are going to falter. We saw that with Southern.
Right.
A lot of people are going to make mistakes. We saw that with Grambling.
Right.
So we just need some people to lose, which they will.
They will.
Because that's how they're built.
Right.
But I like the Texas Southern got that one loss out. I would have loved to win that game against PV and then we're 2-0 in the conference.
Wow.
But things happen for a reason. Sometimes you got to somebody gives you lemons, you got to make lemonade out of it. So Tigers made lemonade, a good glass of lemonade, down there in Arlington, Texas.
Down in Arlington, for sure. I like the way you put that.
Yeah.
I like the way you put that.
Okay.
So, one more time, I want to thank my guest, Lary Chatterbox Hale, and I'm going to ask him to do something before we go that has made him famous. But I want us as a TSU family to always go out and support the school, because I cannot emphasize enough that there is a financial crisis that the HBCUs need our help. And go out and see the entertainment of the team and also the bands. So with that being said, one last thing I want to do is make sure that the listening audience go to fatlarrypodcast.com and get yourself a t-shirt. help patronize the show. I was so happy. I went home, and like I say, I'm not on NBC or CBS, but I have people over the state that watches the show. I went home, and I have several guys with T-shirts on. I didn't know they had even purchased them. I get a notice to let people know that they bought them, but I didn't even know they had it. But here's the shirts: maroon and gray, white, blue, red, as you can see. Sports Talk with Fat Larry. Get yourself a T-shirt, and we also have hoodies. So FatLarryPodcast.com. Get yourself a T-shirt and a hoodie. And also, I want to hear from you guys. If you disagree with anything myself and the guests have said, Chatterbox, hit me up at fatlarry@gmail.com. fatlarry@gmail.com. I want to listen to what your opinion is. I have thick skin. I can take constructive criticism. So also, let me know what show you might want to listen to. If you got a particular person you might want me to try to bring aboard. And also, before I forget, we're in the process of trying to get the fabulous Ocean of Soul band director, Mr. Brian Simmons, to attend the show, because I think Ocean of Soul plays a big part in the atmosphere and in the team spirit of football. What you think, Tim?
Well, they do. They play a big part in the football games. They are the spirit of Texas Southern Athletics. They're the spirit of Texas Southern University. And I think it's long overdue, Fat Larry.
I'm gonna try to get Mr. Simmons on. Also, family, I'm gonna try to get David Mays on, a former player for Texas Southern University that became a pro quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. And also, after his football career was over, he was Dr. Mays, a dentist in the Cleveland, Ohio area. So now I'm going to have people viewing me in Cleveland, Ohio. So stay with me, family. Help support me one more time by buying the T-shirts and letting people know about the show. Hit that like button, share button, and subscribe. And without further ado, I'd like to thank everybody for watching the show. Peace out. All right, family. Now we're going to let Chatterbox take us home.
Hey, this is Larry the Chatterbox, Hale, the radio voice of Texas Southern Fighting Tiger Athletics. You've been watching Sports Talk with Fat Larry. Remember, hit the subscribe button, spread the word. Until next time, go Tiger!